Get down to this funky sound.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all.
Come on!
You spent 20 years in jail for murders you did not commit. How did you deal with that?
I knew that I was innocent. I knew that I was not in prison for murder. So my every day in prison was one of fighting against the entire prison system.
It all started with a big. On June 17th, 1966, two men entered the Lafayette Bar and Grill guns ablaze, claiming the lives of two. 10 minutes later, police stopped the car of Rubin Carter and his driver, John Artis. They were taken to police headquarters and questioned. Witnesses did not finger them as the shooters, and they were released. Months down the road, Carter and Artis were arrested on the claims of two petty criminals who were on the scene of the crime, robbing the bar after the shooting. Although many alibi witnesses testified to Carter and Artis being elsewhere at the time, both were found guilty of the murders and set to serve 3 concurrent life sentences. Rubin Carter grew up in Paterson, New Jersey, often finding himself on the opposite side of the law. He began boxing in West Germany while serving in the United States Army, and upon his return home, he set his sights on the professional world of boxing. He quickly made his way to the top of his weight class, channeling much of the angst of his youth. He developed an aggressive fighting style, earning him the nickname Hurricane. Inside the walls of prison, Carter retreated into himself. He continued to maintain his innocence, refusing to wear the uniform of an inmate or eat prison food. He spoke to no one.
I wouldn't eat his food. I wouldn't wear his clothing. I wouldn't even acknowledge the guards or the warden or anyone. I wouldn't talk to a guard. See? Therefore, the vast majority of my time was spent in solitary confinement.
The injustice he was served led to a massive campaign for his freedom, spearheaded by Muhammad Ali. And with the song Hurricane, Bob Dylan shouted Rubin's story throughout America. Even with all the support and media he received, Carter remained behind bars. Court after court had denied his appeal. Years had fallen off the calendar and his case was becoming hopeless. It was at this point that he began to bleed the story of his life onto the pages of his autobiography, The 16th Round. It was his last cry for help, a chance for the public to finally see the story from behind his eyes. It wouldn't be until 1980 that his message in a bottle would land in the hands of a boy from Brooklyn, becoming the turning point in both of their lives. Lesra Martin was a teenager growing up in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn when he first encountered the group, simply known as the Canadians. Being barely literate, the Canadians noticed the difficult circumstances Lesra was living. They offered to adopt him, taking the responsibilities of his education and raising him in their commune in Canada.
A group of Canadians who have lived and worked together for 20 years. They consider themselves a family. They share everything, including a desire to make the world a little better.
It was in Canada that Lesra would come across Carter's book. After reading it, he decided to write a letter to Carter to let him know how much the story had impacted him. To his surprise, Carter wrote back. It was this connection to Lesra and the Canadians that would kickstart Carter's quest for freedom.
I was at that time battling a bad image of myself, battling an image that I was stupid, that I couldn't be educated, that I couldn't possibly succeed. And for him to succeed under those circumstances in which he did, and to never be broken despite so many years in prison, made me realize, well, I can certainly do this.
The alliance between Carter, Lesra, and the Canadians breathed new life into Carter's trial. After many visits to see Carter in Trenton State Prison, the Canadians decided to move to New Jersey to help Carter's defense team in looking over the case file.
They assisted the lawyers by studying Rubin's notes and documents, and they began their own detailed investigation of the events on the night of the murders.
For example, we got a map of Patterson from the library, and then we would get the transcripts of police testimony, and we would trace all their routes in different colors on a map, try to find out where they were and where Rubin was at that time and what he was doing.
Their efforts intensified in the summer of 1983, and together they filed for a writ of habeas corpus in the federal court. In 1985, Judge H. Lee Sorkin of the United States District Court granted the writ and handed down the decision to free Carter. The judge stated that the extensive record clearly demonstrates that the petitioner's convictions were predicated upon an appeal to racism rather than reason, and concealment rather than disclosure. At the age of 49, Rubin Carter was freed without bail. The 22-year-old saga had come to a close.
I was 29 years old when they arrested me. And I was 49 when they released me.
Ready to face life with what?
With nothing. With nothing except a lot of friends. And a lot of good cheer and a lot of goodness around me. A lot of sweetness around me. That's what.
Carter would spend the rest of his life in Canada, often serving as a motivational speaker. He was the executive director of the Association in Defense of the Wrongly Convicted from 1993 until 2005. In 1999, Rubin was portrayed by Denzel Washington in the movie Hurricane.
This man right here is love. He's all love. He lost about 7,300 days of his life, and he's love. He's all love.
On April 20th, 2014, Carter passed away in his sleep at the age of 76. A man that never stopped fighting for his freedom. That was Rubin Hurricane Carter. And this is a Silk City story.
Is there still a hurricane in Rubin Hurricane Carter?
There's always been a hurricane in Rubin Carter. That's Rubin Carter, the hurricane. And hurricane is beautiful.